Following program is for training purposes in TV news education. Some copyrighted material is used and is credited on screen. However, no more was taken than was necessary to tell the story of the event. YBA claims fair use of materials.
Hi, and welcome back into YBA today. We did a little switcheroo. I'm obviously not Jason Siegel. I'm John Hand. Alongside me is Liam. Our special guest, Mike Dowling, is still with us, and Dylan is also joining us on the set. So we're going to be talking a little, not so much college basketball, but we're going to be doing a little football, and we'll do a little interview with Mike, too, talking about what it takes to be a sports reporter. So we got some good stuff coming up. But we're going to start off with the big news of the week. The Patriots had a huge loss this week as they lost their top wide receiver, Wes Welker, to the Broncos. Welker went to the Broncos on a 2-year, $12 million deal. And he's going from one great quarterback to another, from Tom Brady to Peyton Manning. Doesn't get much better than that. And now the Patriots have a huge hole to fill. They are going to miss durability and one of the top receiving guys in the league. And not to mention that Brady and Welker have this undeniable relationship that's like no other in the NFL. So guys, what's your thought on this move?
Well, I think first things first, it's very good that they did bring in Danny Amendola to replace Wes Welker, who, of course, went to the Broncos on that 2-year, $12 million deal. But with Welker, he even said it in his own press conference after he signed. The biggest thing for him was leaving Tom Brady. I think it definitely helps. He did go with Peyton Manning, but it's going to hurt the Patriots a lot. Should be interesting to see how they recover.
What's your thoughts, Mike?
Well, I think it's not that big of a surprise to me, and I don't think it's that big of a hit. I mean, durability is the key, as you mentioned. See if Amendola can stay healthy.
Right.
But I think the Patriots really didn't care that much if they kept him or not. And Welker didn't, he wasn't going to stay if they weren't going to offer him good money. So, good riddance. See you later. Thanks for 6 great years, and let's move on. That's what I say. Yeah. How will it affect the team? It's all in durability, but it's an injury league. Everybody gets injured, so, they better sign. I can't even think. Edelman, right? Yeah. They better sign Edelman, and so he and Amendola can take Welker's spot.
Amendola has missed 20 games in the past 2 seasons.
Well, those were all with bigger injuries, too, though.
Sure, yeah.
I have to agree with you, Mike. I think it's not that big of a loss. I think a lot of people are overtaking this. Really, Welker was a good part of the offense. The Patriots' offense is very slow, methodical offense, you could say, moving 10 yards, first down at a time. Not a team that used to be with Randy Moss that goes deep a lot. And that's why I'm not too upset about this move, because I really was hoping for the Patriots to move to a new style of high-speed, Hail Mary offense. And I believe that in order to do that, you have to get rid of Welker. Was Welker a great part of this offense, of the old offense that I think? Yes. But now Amendola, I believe, can be used as more of a deep slot receiver, even though he's a slot receiver. And I love also the signing of Donald Jones. I think he's a good, his stats have not really proven about what his skills are. I think they can go to him deep. So I think, have fun with the Broncos, Welker, but we don't really need you anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing about Welker, the reason I'm not crying over the loss. I think it's a loss, but the big thing is 32 years old, and some of the hits Welker has taken over the past couple of years, huge. His body is going to break down at some point. It's just a matter of time. And you're right, concussions is a big thing nowadays, and you have to watch out for that. I mean, especially if you get a concussion, the protocols that are in place are going to keep you out for a few weeks at a time. So that's definitely a big thing. And even for Welker's sake, in his post-career, that's going to hurt him probably eventually.
Yeah, you look at Welker, he's such a small body. He's not going to be able to absorb those hits for much longer. You have to really look and see that chances are he is on his way out in this league.
Yeah.
Well, if it's okay, I'd like to jump on how this affects the Broncos. I think, honestly, he's a good receiver for the Broncos, but it wasn't their type of receiver to get. The Broncos have their 2 top receivers right now, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker. Now, they really are playing the outside. Decker's playing the slot, but Thomas playing the outside. Thomas has more of a body like a tight end than a receiver. I think, honestly, if they want to move forward with their offense, they lost in the first round of their first playoff game to the Ravens, and it was really because they were trying to go slow, and they stopped Peyton Manning. They stopped receivers. They played great zone defense, which is easy against a team that does not go deep. I think, honestly, you're not trying to bring Welker. You're trying to bring in somebody who goes deep like the Patriots.
Yeah, I think it's really going to help Denver just because I think it will raise Peyton Manning's completion percentage. He went down the field, I think, a little too much. In one game, I think it was Atlanta or something, he had like 4 interceptions in the first quarter. It was something ridiculous. But Welker is kind of the safety valve. He's always Brady's safety valve. They call him kind of the binky. And I
Safety
think,
blanket.
yeah, and I think he'll turn into that with Manning too. I think it's just he's always open at 4 or 5 yards, and like you said, it is only 4 or 5 yards, but they are moving the ball when they complete.
But Brady, Welker and Manning are going to have to establish that relationship. That's not something Brady and Welker got overnight. They had to work and establish that. So if they can't establish that relationship, is he going to be the same wide receiver? Because before he came to New England, he was just a special teams guy. He was no one special. So we'll see if he can.
I think Manning's capable of making
Yeah,
that.
he is Peyton Manning after all.
But the big question is, did Brady make Welker? Can Welker be a good receiver on his own?
Yeah, I think he can. He'll never catch 110 again.
Right.
But I think he'll still catch 70, 80 passes from him.
Yeah, to me, Welker is very much almost a replacement for a run game for teams. Teams that don't have the good run game, that can't pick up those 1, 2, 3 yard third downs, they go to Welker. And that's a perfect fit for the Broncos, so they don't have a great running game.
Good point.
But I do think that, first of all, I don't think they have a great running game, but I think it was improved over the past 2 years. The benching of Noshawn Moreno, really a bust in the draft. Now moving forward with different running backs. But I think that this new slow, methodical offense is not what the NFL has moved on to. This NFL is a high-paced league where you see a lot of running quarterbacks now. I think if you really want to succeed, you got to go for the risk and get a deep wide receiver, not a safety blanket like Welker.
I think it's a high completion percentage league, and that's why Brady's been so successful. He's been throwing short, and that's why they have these 2 tight ends and sign him again so they can throw short to these guys. I know they throw to Gronkowski a little bit down the field, but they usually throw to Hernandez 5 yards and they let him run 15 or 20. That's the majority of those long completions. So, and most of those running quarterbacks, you're right. It's great to have an agile quarterback like San Francisco's. But these guys they're going to get hurt sooner or later.
Crushed, yeah.
And I know Brady's lack of mobility does not help the Patriots, but his high completion percentage
He's done pretty
does.
well for himself.
Yes, exactly.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to the Patriots. Well, what they've done this year in the offseason, other than the Welker move, obviously. So far, the Patriots have signed Adrian Wilson to a 3-year deal, Donald Jones to a 3-year deal, Danny Amendola, the wide receiver out of St. Louis, to a 5-year, $31 million deal, a little more than Wes Welker got over in Denver. And they also signed Aqib Talib, bringing him back on a 1-year, $5 million deal. They brought in kick returner and running back Leon Washington on a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. Also, Kyle Arrington and Nico Kudavidis were re-signed. Arrington on a $4 million deal. For $16 million, about $8.5 million of that guaranteed, and Nico Kudavidis was brought back on that 1-year deal. The Patriots have only lost Wes Welker and Danny Woodhead so far. Woodhead, a very similar player, obviously, to Leon Washington, and Welker similar to Amendola. Now, guys, the Patriots have also had Emmanuel Sanders, John Abrams, and Dwight Freeney visit them so far this offseason. 3 of the bigger names that have visited them. What are your thoughts on those players that they've had visit?
Well, they definitely need, with everything they've done, they're still going to need defensive help. And I love the Emmanuel Sanders because they definitely need some a deep threat wide receiver. I want to see another Randy Moss type guy here. I think he'd help out Brady drastically. And I love these pickups that they've gotten with Adrian Wilson and Talib. Yep. Talib on the 1-year deal especially because that keeps him motivated. I don't think he's all there in the brain. So keeping him on the 1-year deal where he could potentially maybe get another long-term deal somewhere else keeps him motivated, and I like to see that. And Adrian Wilson, he's a little older, but he's going to shore up that secondary so much. He has 25 sacks and 25 interceptions in his career. He's only one of 6 NFL players to ever do that. He's a physical player, and he's a good sign.
I completely agree. I also think he's definitely going to be there to help mentor Tavon Wilson, who's very similar in body type, both around 6 foot, 6'3", and about 200 pounds. So it's going to be a very interesting next couple of years.
No relation, I don't think.
But no, nothing yet.
The big thing that stuck out to me was the Talib signing. I mean, you saw in that Ravens game how much that defense was impacted when he got hurt. Because here's how it happens. When you're playing with the cornerback Talib, you can play man-to-man, so you can trust your corners to play man-to-man and put more people to help the run game up front. When he comes out, you got to play more zone and double coverage in the back, taking players out of the run game, opens up the run game. Then when you try to put players to help the run game in, it affects the passing game because the corners like Kyle Arrington, Alfonso Dennard cannot cover the top-tier receivers like they did in the Ravens game.
Yeah, Kyle Arrington's pretty much become a slot receiver in this Patriots defense. Or not slot receiver, my bad. Slot cornerback.
Yeah.
Excuse me there.
The point about Talib signing 1-year deal is right on because he thought he was going to hit the big payday this free agent season, and he didn't. So he thought, okay, I'll come back one more year, and then I'll hit it next year. Well, we'll see about that. I agree. I like the Wilson signing as a safety. They really needed another safety back there. And about these guys coming in, somebody like whoever will sign for short money, that's who they'll get. If they can get Freeney for short money, that's fine. He kind of fits into that profile. They usually get a veteran who's, in the last year or two of his career. So we'll see. They could certainly use another pass rusher.
I think if they sign Freeney, it'll be a lot like the Andre Carter, what they did a few years ago. He'll be on the field for probably like 60% of 60% of the snaps, kind of sub in there, and he'll have a huge impact. He's older, but he's still got some gas left in the tank, I think.
Yeah, it might be less than 60%, but you're right. Yeah, it might be 40 to 50%. That's what I would plan.
Right.
We're talking about veterans getting, short money. Let's talk about young players getting money I believe is too tall. Amendola getting more money than Welker. Welker's a proven receiver over the past 3 years. Amendola only played 11 games last year, and I have the stats last year.
The last 2 years, yeah. Yeah, but you're right.
11 games last season. Amendola had 11 games, 660 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. I mean, that is, to me, first of all, for 11 games, it's not even that good. Second of all, he was injured 5 of the games. I mean, to give this guy more than Welker, a proven receiver the past 3 years, it doesn't really make any sense to me.
I think it just goes to age. Welker's 31 to be 32. I don't think they think he's got much left in the tank. The 5-year deal, it's kind of a misnomer. They can cut him after a year or two. I know they've got guaranteed $8 to $10 million or something to him.
It's not that much.
Yeah, but they could cut him after 2 or 3 years if he doesn't work out. But they had to take a chance on somebody, and they had him right there. They'd been pretty much negotiating with him, even though they couldn't legally. But yeah, they were ready to make the move.
But to me,
it's a gamble, no question.
It's very characteristic-like of them, because they're always trying to get the lesser money, trying to sign more veterans. This is a young player, very unproven, giving him a lot of money. To me, it seems out of their area, and to me, I don't really like the move to get Amendola. Maybe get him at lesser money, because I do like his potential. He certainly has amazing potential. Very great slot receiver. A certain, maybe you call this move a very hurried replacement to Welker. It was done very, very quickly after Welker signing with the Broncos.
It was reportedly done before Welker actually signed with the Broncos.
So there you see, it was like they knew he was gone. We just need a replacement fast. I think it was a little bit too rushed of a deal. I would like to see a little bit more negotiating for less money, especially than Welker.
Yeah, they got what they thought was the best slot receiver, and slot receivers are really valuable in the NFL. So, they got the best guy they thought was available. And yeah, you're right. They may have overpaid for him, but who knows if he catches, Brady throws to him as much as Welker. If he catches 90 to 100 passes, then all of a sudden everybody's going, wow, what a great deal.
Right. Well, there you see, go back to Welker. Welker was, a guy out of the Chargers who,
And the Dolphins,
and
right?
the Dolphins, Chargers and Dolphins, came to the Patriots, and nobody really. Brady turns him into this great guy. Could that happen with Amendola? I don't know. I just, looking at it right now, it's not a good signing. Is if you're looking at the Amendola who was on the Rams.
Passed, right.
Who missed 5 games last season. But if you're going to look on the one who's going to be healthy and who can Brady possibly make into a Welker, then it's a good deal. But right now, he's still the same Amendola.
The thing is,
sorry. No, you go ahead.
Amendola will fit right into the offense. He's a slot guy. He's the next best wide receiver if they didn't want to go after Wallace or Jennings. So they gave a lot of money out, but he was the next best guy, I think, out there if they weren't going to sign a Mike Wallace or a Greg Jennings. And
he was the best mid-priced receiver.
Right, and he's a Wes Welker clone. Despite the injury history, he'll fit right in there, and Brady makes his wide receivers better. Brady makes good wide receivers look great. So he fits. I think he's a perfect fit. Despite the injury history, despite the money, I think he'll fit right in.
I would definitely agree with that.